when we entered our relationship, basically, we both have this very strong belief that we will make this relationship work very well. And we are willing to put in all the effort it takes, to make it great.
And now.
Aye, I'm the captain now.
Coming to you from the K2 Studios in San Diego, California.
This sounds great. You sound amazing.
I always sound amazing.
It's the world famous
Everybody's hitting off like BFFs.
Kris and Kristine Show.
Hey, what's happening, everybody? How are you doing today? Thank you so much for listening, and I am Kris.
And I'm Kristine, and welcome to episode 122 of the Kris and Kristine Show.
Fantastic.
Is it fantastic?
Oh, baby, it's always fantastic.
But it's Monday.
Podcasting with you, baby doll.
But it's a Monday.
I know. You know what's the best thing about Monday is not Monday itself, it's podcasting with you, babe.
Oh, well, we don't always podcast on Monday, but we have lately. And why are we podcasting on Monday instead of Sunday this week?
Well, Sunday was yesterday, and yesterday somebody had a little birthday.
Oh, Clover? Pumpkin?
No, another female in the house.
Ooh, but not a dog.
Definitely not.
That would be me.
Kristine had her birthday yesterday.
I did.
Do you want to mention how old you turned? Was it 25?
I turned 41. I'm proud of my age.
41 years
I
old.
know.
Look at you.
41 years young.
You do look 40. Yeah, you know what's funny is that I think, what was it? Mario Lopez or someone posted a picture of Latina women as they get older. They look like they're like 25 or 26. Well, there you go, baby. Just like you.
Definitely. I feel young. I don't feel old, although I guess like my body does ache and stuff like that. But I feel like I've accomplished a lot to be only 41 years old. Can you believe that we have like, if we stay healthy, like another 40 plus years of life? I'm only like at the halfway point.
Right. I don't want to think of the end in mind, you know? Like,
no, I'm just saying like I've only lived half my life.
Oh, well, don't think like that either because now you're putting an end date on your expiration date on yourself.
No, I'm just saying that I'm going to live a long time. I mean, maybe
80 isn't that long.
80 is a long time.
Oh, no, it's not.
Yes, it is. I have 40 more years of life. I've done a lot of living so far. I mean, I'd like to live beyond that, but, you know, maybe I'm not even at the halfway point. Maybe
that's what I'm saying.
Maybe once I hit 50, I'll be like, the first half of my life was great. Let's wait for the next half.
There you go. You know, it's funny. You say 41. I remember growing up that people that were like in their 40s, that hit 40, 41, I thought of them as like super old, you know, like.
Oh, yeah. You were totally saying that. Was it yesterday during the day before yesterday, you were watching Clueless.
Right.
And the teacher, like the old balding teacher, you said he was supposed to be 46 in that movie.
Right, that was 40. Yeah, it's like about 46. You said he was
46. Yeah, and how old are you?
I don't know, old-ish.
45?
What?
You're like 1 year off from that guy, and we were looking at him.
I'm so much cooler.
Yeah, you totally are. And I was looking at him thinking, but it's the same thing with like Golden Girls. Like watching the old episodes of Golden Girls, and Blanche was supposed to be like 45 or 48 years old.
And she was a grandmother?
And she was like a grandmother with like, but I guess like I'm old enough. Well, I mean, at 45, I could be old enough to be a grandmother, but.
Well, it's because you have a teenager son.
That's true. But I was just thinking, like, people look different now. I'm 41, and I get asked all the time how old I am, and people sometimes think I'm in my 20s. They say I have a baby face.
No way.
Especially when I have no makeup on because of all my freckles.
Oh, yeah, you do definitely. Hey, freckles. Hey, you know what? I was thinking, like, the good compliment is when you go to the liquor store and you buy yourself a nice fifth of vodka or something, or whatever you want to buy, you know, and they card you.
I don't buy a fifth of vodka. I buy, you know, the whole vodka. What does a fifth even mean?
It's a big bottle, that's all I know.
But what if it's like, instead of a fifth, like a 1.5 or a 1 of vodka? How big would it be?
I don't know.
Like a trough?
Sure, why not? The barrel, the big barrel keg.
Yeah.
You know,
but yeah, if I get carded, I don't get carded really anymore, which is, you know, good and bad. But people do tell me that I look pretty young, and I take that. I like it.
You know, I like when I used to go to the liquor store. I used to go to the bars a lot. This is the one I was probably in my late 30s or 30-ish, maybe even 40. And I go to the bar. What is that? The guy at the front door? The
bouncer?
The bouncer guy. And he checks my ID. He looks at me. He looks at the ID. And he's like, what? He's like, wait a second. You look pretty good for being old you are. I'm like, oh, thanks, buddy.
How old were you when you were going to these clubs, old man, Winter?
Probably, old man. Probably, I said my late 30s or mid 30s. I don't know.
Mid late. All right.
Especially when you go to like the BB area, there's usually a younger crowd down there. That used to be my spot back in the day. Let me tell you.
Where BB? Did you say?
I said PB.
Oh, I thought you said BB, and I was like,
I don't know
where's
what that is,
BB?
but Pacific Beach.
Oh, that's because Pacific Beach is like the college area. Why were you trolling down there?
I used to always troll. That's my hood.
No, that explains so much about you.
Why?
Because it took you that long to find me because you were in all the wrong areas.
Baby, did we meet each other at a club? Well, kind of.
No, we didn't meet each other at a club.
But we did meet each other at a bar.
We met each other at a pub.
That's right, a pub.
Was it a club? It was a pub.
Shout out to McGregor's, by the way.
But it wasn't even like we met there. I mean, we face-to-face met there, but we met on Match.com when you kept peeping at my profile.
Oh, you kept peeping at my profile. And you kept hitting me up, too. Like, hey, what's up? Hey.
Totally. I know. I made the first move.
Yeah, you did make the first move.
The first move. But enough about moves. Let's talk about the moves that you made on my birthday because I want to brag about you.
Oh, well, please do. The audience is listening.
I have to not brag to be able to brag. So you are the biggest procrastinator on the face of the planet when it comes to like doing anything nice for other people.
Actually, anything at all, I would say. I put everything in that category.
No, you do nice things for yourself, but you are the biggest procrastinator. And are birthdays a big deal for me?
I think they're a big deal. Yeah.
They're a big deal. Like, I love birthdays, don't I?
Yes, but who really doesn't like a good birthday?
I know. Well, exactly. But all the way up until like Sunday, you didn't even mention that it was like becoming my birthday. And like, I was saying, oh, my birthday's coming up. And Jacob and Mason were like, when's your birthday? And I'm like, it's on Sunday. And they were like, what? Or what are we doing? And I planned my whole day for my birthday. But I will say, you surprised me.
I did?
You totally surprised me.
I showed up. Is that what it was? Surprise, I'm here.
No. You surprised me with the amount of thought that you put into a very special birthday present that you made for me.
Oh, what?
He made it, ladies and gentlemen. You know what, Kris? You pretend that you're not romantic, but when you get into that mood, you can definitely, you can definitely pull one over on the ladies for sure.
Well,
but
pull one over on the ladies doesn't sound right. We say it like that.
You could surprise me. I totally thought that you were putting like zero effort into my birthday. And then there was this super cute pink birthday bag with little pink silk flowers coming out of it. When I came home on Thursday from the airport from working, I saw it and it had a card and it was sitting on the kitchen counter. And I grabbed the card and I went to open the card and I was like, wait a second. Why is there a bag out here on the counter? Who's it from? It looks like Kris's writing, but it has little sticky stars on it or sticky hearts on it. And I was like, maybe I should text him. And I texted you and I was like, hey, or I sent you the picture. I was like, what is this? And you were like, birthday present. And I was like, for me to open now? And you were like, no, please don't. And I was like, then why'd you leave it in the middle of the kitchen when I came home from out of town?
I had no other place to put it, and I was working on it in the kitchen area. So,
see, I didn't know that part.
So then I just left it there, and I made it look pretty and everything right there.
And
it was a good place to put it because it looked like,
Okay, do you want to tell everybody what you made for me? Because I would love for you to give the description of what you did and why you did it.
Okay, first off, I got a little artsy crafty.
A little? Yes. A
lot artsy crafty. So what I did was
like he bought a glue gun, people.
I know. I don't know if we had one or not, so I wasn't sure. So I bought one, extra one anyways, at the old craft store. So while I'm at the craft store, I had
craft store, Walmart.
Yes, Wally World is like to call it. So I'm over to Wally World, and I was in the craft department thinking about when I get Kristine. I don't know what to do for her birthday, and her birthday's coming up. I got to make something happen here. And I'm thinking like, what I can do? Kristine really loves words of affirmation.
I do.
Like, she really loves thoughts and memories, and she loves that kind of stuff more than anything. I'm thinking like, well,
that and quality time.
I'm thinking like it's too late to really like get a big old like photo like picture thing done. Or like I think like a collage or going like a big poster or something cool, kind of like that kind of stuff. Like, first off, find the photography, the picture you want to use would take forever, and then finding out a place that actually can print them out and all that stuff, and then
right.
I thought I was doing that too, like getting pictures and stuff done, and you do pictures and stuff like that too.
I know, I'm not a big fan of collages, but I appreciate the sentiment.
Right, so I was thinking that too, and I'm like, okay, that'd be kind of cool to do. Like, I got time for that. Here's what I'm going to do. I know that Kristine, since she loves memories and she loves thinking about things that we've done, and she loves walking down memory lane, like who doesn't really, So I decided to create what I call a memory jar.
Ooh.
Now, what
Tell us more.
Okay, what a memory jar is, and fellas, listen up. This will get you points to the lady. This works on Mother's Day, birthdays, Valentine's Day, and maybe Christmas, but Christmas not so much. But Christmas.
But don't just overdo it. You're like, I'm going to empty out the jar, fill it with new stuff, put new flowers. Okay, go ahead.
So the concept really is very simple. You get a mason jar. Now that's the part, you got to decorate the mason jar, make it look very pretty. So what I did is I got some little diamond rhinestones, real diamonds, by the way. And I hot glued each individual one to the outside of the jar. Okay, they're not real diamonds. They're like pretend diamonds, but you get the concept.
They're like little sticky rhinestones, right?
Right.
They're
I glued
so cute.
them all over the outside of the jar. Plus, I had these little sticky hearts, which the hearts that Kristine mentioned earlier, where they were on the card. Some of the hearts were on the jar, as you noticed.
Now, I have to ask you, because those little hearts were so small, how hard was it for you to get them off and stick them on? Like, were they sticking all over your fingers? Because
of course they were. Come on.
I know.
The worst were the rhinestones. Those were the worst. trying to get the individual ones were a nightmare. I got those, and eventually I kind of did a little cheater with them and figured out another way to get them onto there. Much easier than what I was trying to do. Anyways, so I got those, decorated the jar. And then I put this little what was it like? It was tape, but it was like
they call it like washi tape. It's like a decorative tape, right?
Right. It was like a glittery kind of tape. I put around the rim of the jar. So when you put your fingers on and screw the jar open, that is like a glittery.
It is so pretty.
Tape. I put it around the outside of that.
But what was on the top of the jar? Because this was like the icing on the cake.
Very top of the jar. I was in there they have those like fake flowers, they're like fake, the wall flowers. Most of these craft stores have them. I mean, you're in the flower business, you probably see those and stuff. So I got some flowers. I was trying to figure what color would go well and what color would Kristine like of these flowers. So I found these pink ones. I'm not sure what kind of flower they were. You know what kind of flower they were?
They were roses.
I don't think they were roses.
Yeah, they were roses.
Roses are more like pointier and thinner.
Not those. Those ones are roses. They're just like open.
Okay, well, whatever they were. You said roses. You say the roses, then the roses. So I took them and I cut the tips off of 3 of them. And this is where the hot glue gun came into play. I glued them, all 3 of them. I put one on the top. It was kind of leaning over to the side. Like, it seems kind of bare just to keep one there. I got space to put 2 others. Boom, boom, on the other 2 corners. So I got 3 of these, kind of like their centers are meeting in the middle. And they're kind of both kind of blooming out to each side. That filled the top of the jar. So it was like one big giant flower on the top of the jar.
It's so cute. And so then what happens inside of the jar? What did you fill it with?
So I also got a bunch of cardstock of different colors. I tried to find a color to match the color of the roses. I could not find cardstock in that color. The closest I found was a multicolor cardstock. It's actually right over there. You can see it. And I grabbed the orange color one. Something I could write on. You can see easily. Because if you use the darker color, and you write on it, it's kind of hard to see the writing on it so well. So, and I also bought a Sharpie too. I don't know if we had a Sharpie, so I bought a Sharpie too. I bought all the stuff I needed for that. I didn't want to have to go back to the store or whatever. So on each of these little cards I made, they're small, probably like 1 inch by 3 inch cards or so that you fold in half. Inside the little card that you make, you write a memory of something that you think of when you think of the relationship.
So what did you include on some of those little cards?
For example, I wrote down the place we met at, the day, our first date, the first time you met my kids, the first time I met your son, the first time I met your parents, our trip to Hawaii, our trip to Zion, just fun adventures. And
then super sweet things like the moment that we fell in love and our first kiss and all of those little things. And you filled this jar up with all of these little slips of paper. And so while we were having donuts and coffee on my birthday morning, I got to open this cute little jar. And it wasn't even a tiny one. It was a good size. It was like one of those jumbo size mason jars.
It was a regular mason jar. I don't know. There's only one size that I know of.
Did it only come by itself, or did you have to buy like a 4-pack?
No, it's about one.
Oh, okay.
In the arts and crafts section. Head up to the Wally World. They got it over there. Everything you need right there. Except for the paper I needed, but anyways.
But I loved opening that. And then after that, for my birthday, I had planned to do, and I think we mentioned it last week, a branding photo shoot for my business. And so at 11 a.m., the makeup artist came over, Bonnie, and she set everything out. And then after she got me all dolled up, then I drove over to one of my favorite bridal hairstylist houses, and she did my hair for me. Then I came back here. We gathered up all of the supplies, and then we took a trek over to Los Penasquitos Ranch House where the photographer met us, and we had an epic photo session out in the wild.
In the wild. This ranch house, it was called. It was like to preserve.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I still don't understand what it's about. I did pick up a flyer for you. I think I tossed it in your bag. I don't know where it is, but it had a whole little like what it's about and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's great for doing photos. I can see why people shoot photography there. Like they do all kinds. It's a nice backdrop with the the outdoor stuff and the.
But they had like it almost looked like an old mix between a mission and an old school
Right,
house.
I would say that. Yeah. I was thinking, like, did they shoot movies here or something?
Yeah, it looks cool like that.
Like a place they do like a little Western kind of movie.
Exactly.
Or maybe a Spanish village. They have not much of a Spanish vibe to it, but it had kind of a.
But then there were a bunch of cacti there. There was this huge cactus wall that was really cool looking. I really loved it.
Next to a big water trough.
Yeah.
And I took a cool picture with my iPhone. You guys are taking real pictures, and I'm playing with my iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
And I take a picture of the like a barn or something with the palm trees next to it, reflecting off the water off of this like water trough thing. I don't know what it is, but it was.
But then
so
what
cool.
else did you video, Kris? Because while we were doing other photos and you were being wedding helper boy,
Yeah.
I see you like Victoria, the photographer, and I, she's like, Kris is in our shot. And I'm like, Kris, move. And I see you crouched down on the ground. I'm like, what is he filming? Is there a bug or something? And then what video did you make, you goofball?
Oh, well, out in the wild out there, because you're kind of in the middle of nowhere, you know. I mean, we saw us in the wilderness, you know. You never know what you're going to find when you're
Right.
out in the middle of nowhere, you know, out in the rustic hills
So
of San
what did you
Diego.
find?
We found a Tyrannosaurus Rex.
What?
A Tyrannosaurus Rex.
No. Is it an app that you used for that?
Yeah, it's actually a much older app. I haven't used it in a while, but I figure if any place, anywhere, we're going to be out to film stuff like that, you might as well be out where it's like a big field, you know.
So you like filmed the field and then you like panned over to film Victoria taking photos of me while I'm like leaning down in the grass. And then all of a sudden, this Tyrannosaurus Rex comes like stomping on me in the middle of the field.
Well, he went around. He kind of went around you guys.
No,
and then
he like
looked
stepped over me.
You looked at him like, "Hey, what's up?" And you're like, "What's that thing over there?" And then he like roars at me, the camera guy, and then he runs across the screen. That's what he does.
Yep. And then the next one was, who was it? Like Bigfoot?
Yeah, Bigfoot didn't quite make the social media yet. He needs to be edited.
This is what I deal with. He's like in the background, like getting behind the scenes.
Did a tornado too, but I didn't like that one. The great. There's a couple apps I have.
Like Victoria was like, "Okay, good. Kris is getting the behind the scenes videos," and I'm like, "And this is what he actually did with those behind the scenes videos."
Well, you know, I got to get the what did you call it? Behind the scenes stuff, and I got to get like the tornado and the tree falling. I got that one. That was a great one. I did a Bigfoot. You know, Bigfoot's kind of he's kind of looks fake.
You're so funny.
The Tyrannosaurus actually. It does look fake too, but you know what's funny? I did that for the kids at one point when they were little, before they knew the apps even existed. I made that video in their bedroom. Like, look, the T-Rex is in your bedroom, kids.
Did they freak out?
They're like, "What? How'd you do that?" Like, you know, like I mean, they were like 4 at the time, but still, I think at first they were kind of like. That's so cool, and they wanted to do that for a hot minute. The kids were grabbing my phone and instantly making their own little videos with different things like explosions or whatever different. There's a bunch you can do on there.
Yeah,
and it's a fun toy, and I figured why not give it a shot. I haven't used it in a while. They're older apps, but you know they still work.
Totally. Well, after my photo shoot, we went on over to downtown and picked up my favorite dessert that you had made by this amazing place. If you all come to visit San Diego, you have to stop by Extraordinary Desserts because they're out of this world.
They're extraordinary.
They really are. They're so amazing. But they make my favorite dessert, pavlova, and it's the only place in all of San Diego that I found that actually makes it and makes it well because it's an Australian dessert and it's time consuming. And so we picked up the pavlova, and it was beautiful. It was the most beautiful pavlova.
You got a picture of it, right? I hope so.
I did. And I got several pictures of it, and it had like baby rosebuds on it and rose petals and gold flakes and fresh berries and meringue and cream. Oh my gosh. And it was so delicious. I know you didn't care for it. I love pavlova, so I would have like eaten the whole thing. And we went to dinner at Craft and Commerce, and that was right down in Little Italy. And I will say it was such an amazing day. And we had a babysitter for the boys so that you and I can actually have a date night. And just thank you so much for putting so much effort into my gift and then going along for the ride while you let me plan whatever I wanted for the rest of the day. Thank you.
You know, that's how it works for birthday. For the birthday queen over here, she gets to pick out what she wants to do, and you get to pick out doing stuff for her.
And normally we would make it like all about family and all about kids, but we've both been so busy that it was just really nice to have date time for the two of us. And, you know, I think that's one of the things is as busy as we are, that sometimes we don't get that time to like slow down and have really good conversations. I will say though that while we were at dinner and we were having that time to like slow down and have conversation, I noticed that we didn't have a lot to talk about outside of like podcast, work, and my business. And I know sometimes it's like awkward when you're in public trying to get into a deep conversation with your spouse.
It is. I think it's hard to do that with anybody that when you're in a public place, sometimes you don't want everyone like eavesdropping on your conversation, you know?
Right. But I think even like in private, sometimes it's hard to figure out how to ask those questions that like keep you communicating and keep the spark going. Do you find that it's difficult sometimes to come up with those questions?
It is sometimes hard to come up with those questions, but guess what? We have a fantastic game and a fantastic giveaway related to this game, all about relationships and about how to communicate better with your spouse.
Absolutely. And today's VIP guest that we're going to talk to is an expert in this area. And you're going to want to stay tuned with us after the interview because we're going to be sharing details about a special fun giveaway for couples that she has for us. But we're going to hear from her right after this.
Hey, thank you so much for being a loyal listener of the Kris and Kristine Show. And as that you are a loyal listener, we have a very fun opportunity for you to get involved with the show.
Ooh, tell me more.
If you like to get exclusive content you can't get anywhere else and to receive free merchandise shipped to you every single month,
ooh, I want that.
Then head over to patreon.com/The Kris and Kristine Show. That is patreon.com/The Kris and Kristine Show. Welcome to the show, everybody. And today we have a fantastic guest who invented a fun relationship card game for couples.
Yes, she did. And we are so excited to have her with us. Welcome to the show, Diana Indries.
Thank you, Kris, and thank you, Kristine. I'm so happy to be here, and I'm very, very excited as well to get into this.
Oh, fantastic.
We are so excited to have you here with us. And Kris has been like dying to talk with you for, I don't know, how long? 2-3 weeks you've been telling me about this interview?
I have, because I love playing games, I mean, and who doesn't love a good game? And
like playing actual games or like playing games with my heart?
Both, a little bit both,
Well, we are very excited to have you here, Diana. Where in the world are you joining us from today?
I am based in Sheffield, UK.
Wow.
That was a pretty long flight. I mean, God, it was like 12 hours, 13 hours?
You must have really enjoyed our private jet.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for being here with us. So we are actually recording this at 11 a.m. in the morning. What time is it there for you?
It is 6 in the afternoon.
Oh, wow.
Look at that.
Now, I have never been to the UK.
What? I thought you go there all the time.
No. Were you born and raised there?
No, I actually was born and raised in a country called Romania, which is Eastern Europe.
Oh, wow.
It is actually quite close to where the war is going on right now, to be honest. I came to the UK about 11 years ago.
Okay.
Wow. What brought you to the UK?
Well, long story short, basically, I didn't want to follow the path laid in front of me by others.
Got it.
I graduated law, and in those times, back in my country, if you didn't really have anyone from your family working in that field, it was quite difficult for you to actually get in that field and actually make some money. So I did try it for a while, but then I was like, okay, this is not working out for me. And this thing to come to UK came up seemingly randomly, to be honest.
Oh, wow.
where my mom had a friend and her daughter was living already in the UK. And because I knew very well English already, this idea came to my mom that what if I come out for like few months, and also economically UK is in a lot better place than Romania. So the initial plan was to come out here for a few months, make some money and then go back home, either buy myself a car or, whatever, and then continue looking for a job in the law field. And yeah, that was 11 years ago. So those 3 months transformed in 11 years.
Wow. Now, what currency does Romania use? It's not the same. It's not the pound, is it?
No, it's a Romanian lion, we call it.
Lion? They lying to you, aren't they?
And so you live in the UK now, and you mentioned having a background in law. Is that what you do for your full-time work, is work in the legal industry?
Actually, no. Again, life had so many surprises for me. I remember when I was actually applying for universities and I was deciding where to go and what to study next, I didn't have, like a childhood type dream where I knew from early childhood what I wanted to be. I remember, so my dad is a vet, and I remember being quite young and helping him out sometimes with animals. When people would ask me what I want to be when I grow up, I always said my dad's assistant. Oh. But because medical school is so many years and so much studying to do, I actually didn't really want to do that. Although my mom tried to push me towards human medicine, especially cardiology, because this is an issue that runs in my family. I didn't really want to do that, so I chose law. And then once I came to the UK, because Romanian law system is quite different from the British one, my degree wasn't recognized over here. So I had to basically start over.
Oh, wow.
And because I had some knowledge of law and international law and some basic knowledge of British law, because we learned that, in university as a comparison to our law system, I actually had to take a legal secretarial course, which it was quite painful at the time, but that 3-month course actually counted a lot more towards my CV than my 4 years of university did.
Oh, wow.
So with that degree, I actually started working at a local hospital in admin. So I was admin officer, it was called, the job. It sounds quite posh, but it was just like, an admin person in office helping out, copying things and
like a secretary would do kind of stuff?
Actually, even lower than that, like a secretary's assistant.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Assistant to the secretary.
Yeah.
Now, in the UK, I've heard that there is a different term. So in the United States, people with law degrees that go into practicing law, we call them lawyers or attorneys. I've heard that there's a different term for that in the UK. What is it called?
It's called a solicitor.
A solicitor?
That sounds...
Yeah.
Well, no, when I think of solicitor, I think of somebody that goes around and like solicits like pamphlets and flyers door to door, like knocking on doors, like, hey, want to buy my...
I thought of a different kind of a solicitor, but why is it called...
What are you thinking about that? My goodness.
Yeah, dirty mind. Why is it called a solicitor?
To be honest, I don't really know. I mean, there are some theories there why and whatnot. I don't know. I think it's just custom. I mean, for civil things, if you have to deal with like civil things, it's called solicitor. If it's criminal side, then it's barrister. And that's like a whole different level of lawyers. That's like 5 levels up from the normal solicitor.
Wow, I had no idea that the system in the UK was so complex.
So basically, don't get arrested in the UK. You have a solicitor helping you out.
No, that's a barrister.
A barrister?
If it's criminal.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
right.
definitely.
I just found something out today. It was the other day that the term flat is for an apartment, not...
Yes.
What were you doing? You were interviewing somebody from the UK?
I have an interview book that I went to listen to his podcast, and he was talking a story he mentioned the word in my flat. They came over to my flat, and I said, it's because they call it flat because you wouldn't call it crooked, your house. It has to be flat, right?
And I was like, go ahead.
It's actually a funny story behind this, because in the UK, other than very big cities like London or Manchester or Leeds, and even those only in like city center and very specific areas, most of the UK, like let's say 85% of the UK is in houses. And houses here, very rarely they're on one floor. They're usually 2 floors, maybe 3 floors, you know? So that's why when they say a flat, they mean an apartment that is on the same floor, basically. You know, you have your everything on the same floor. You don't have to climb up any stairs.
See, I was half right.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense now. But are houses called houses in the UK?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are not called cottages?
Oh, see,
cottages are houses, but are tinier. So if you will ever have a chance to visit UK and you go especially in villages, you will notice which ones are cottages based on the size of their entry door and windows. They're tiny.
Right.
You have the impression that some dwarves would look
I was going to say the
any
Hobbits.
moment now.
It's like the Hobbit land. It's like Lord of the Rings, the Hobbit land. What's it called?
Yeah, the Shire. Yeah,
the Shire, exactly.
now what makes a village versus a town? Because like I we don't have villages in the United States, do we, Kris?
I've
never heard of.
I don't know.
Okay, I grew up in a small town.
Yeah, you lived in a village.
I grew up in a small town in the center of California, and we did refer to it as a Swedish village, and that is still what they call it. Like it's a city now, but we did growing up call it a village. But do you live in a town, a shire, a village? Tell us what the Sheffield is considered.
So Sheffield is actually the 4th or the 5th largest city in the UK. So it's quite large.
Wow.
In my opinion, is the perfect combination between a very busy city and a village, where you still have still a lot of houses, a lot of greenery, parks, open spaces, and within 5, maybe 10 minutes, you are literally in the city center or out of it. You don't have to spend hours in traffic every day commuting. Otherwise, I don't remember the population number, to be honest, but it is quite big. I mean, it doesn't look like it. And for people coming from the US and other parts of Europe as well, it seems more of a extended village rather than a city, mainly because, as I said, many places and many residential areas are literally just houses instead of flats.
Got it.
Diana, I have a really important, serious question. I always get to ask somebody who I keep forgetting to ask people who live in the UK this very important question. Do you guys get island fever because you're on an island, so to speak?
What is that?
It's where you're feel like you're cooped up. You feel like you're trapped on this island.
But it's huge, Kris.
Is
it's a continent. It's not just an island by itself. There's other countries bordering it.
Looks so small on the map. I don't know.
Interestingly enough, we don't have island fever, but what I have found that people have here is continent fever.
Okay.
As in, they always have this impression that there's the UK and then there's the rest of the world. Mainly because we are separated by sea, from the main continent, from the main Europe continent. Many people over here always say, overseas. And when you say overseas, you think of a place far, far away. Although, for example, France is like an hour away, with the plane. But they always have this conception that this is England and then there's Europe. It's like it would be 2 different continents altogether.
That's insane. When I visited Paris with my son a couple of summers ago, we found out that there's this train that goes between Paris and London, but somebody told me that it goes under the ocean. What is that? That sounds so stinking scary to me.
It does sound. To be honest, I've never been on it.
Oh, makes 2 of us.
But yes, it is. It is. I would be scared as well. However, people who have been on it, they did say that you don't even realize you're under the sea. You just go through a tunnel, basically, and it's all dark, and that's it.
How long are you going through that part of the tunnel? Like you said, an hour flight. So how long is it from there to there, under the ground?
I think about couple of 2.5 hours, something like that.
2.5 hours underground, under the sea.
Yeah.
I am getting anxiety even thinking about that, because my mind goes to, what if there was a challenge with the rail system and you get trapped under the sea. Like, how do you get out of there? How do they get you? Oh my gosh, I'm seriously about to have an anxiety attack just thinking about it right now.
Diana, have they ever had a serious problem with anything bad that's happened? Do you know of?
To be honest, it has been going for many years and I've never heard of any issues with it.
Right.
And also, what I can, vouch for is the importance that British people put on safety. So safety comes first every time. And I am sure they have a lot of, scenarios already that they are working on, in case this happens, what they do and all of that. So I wouldn't be too worried, to be honest. And again, for many years, this train has been running every day, several times a day, and I've never heard of any issues with it.
Oh, well, thank you so much for putting my mind at ease. I still don't know if I'm brave enough for it. I might just take a little quick plane.
What does it cost to do the train ride, you think?
I don't know, to be honest. I don't know. But what I wanted to say is that a couple of years ago, when we went to visit some cousins in Paris, we actually took the ferry. I would not recommend that, to be honest.
Is it rough waters?
I would rather take the train, even if I know that the sea is above me, because that was traumatizing to me.
Oh no, what happened? We need the story.
Well, so, you go with the car up on the ferry boat, and then you have to actually leave the car. They don't allow you to sit in the car because it's almost 3 hours, I think, with the ferry. So you go in these waiting rooms. And when we went, it was about midnight, I think, when we caught the ferry. And these waiting rooms have massive windows, like from ceiling to floor, massive windows. And it was dark outside because obviously it was night, but it was also a storm going on. So whenever you would see a lightning and, the light that
right,
would
like
produce.
The flash?
Yes, I would see, what do you call those? Waves as high as the ceiling, basically, of the ferry. And that scared me, to be honest. I couldn't wait to get off it.
Oh, man.
Luckily, when we came back, it was daytime and it wasn't any storm or anything like that. So it was a lot better. But that first ride traumatized me for life.
Well, maybe you shouldn't have watched the movie The Perfect Storm before you went on the boat. Like you say, don't take a plane ride and watch disaster movies.
Snakes on a plane or something.
Snakes on a plane or any of those kind of
Con Air.
Yeah, or maybe the movie Alive where they crash in the Andes and each
or Castaway.
Castaway is another good one. Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for sharing a little bit about your life in the UK. We're always so intrigued when we have international guests because Kris and I don't really travel out of the country a lot together. So we figure we get to travel virtually through our podcast by learning about different cultures from other people. So thank you for that. But
You're very welcome.
But we're excited to talk with you about your card game that you've created. I'm going to let Kris take over here because he's chomping at the bit, ready to ask you questions.
Diana, you are married to Robert, is it?
Yes.
Okay. How long you guys been married?
4 years this May.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
4 years. Wow. Now, how did you guys meet? Were you guys playing games and then you guys met through your card game, or how'd that work out?
No. Actually, we've been married already by the time we've developed the game. So our story is quite strange. And we were always joking with my husband that, we'll have to write a movie script out of this at one point. So, as I said in the beginning, that I came to the UK. Interestingly enough, my husband is from the same region from back home. And so my parents live 1 hour north from the main city where I kind of went to high school and uni as well. So where I spent 8 years of my life. And his parents are 1 hour south. And interestingly enough, in Romania is this not tradition per se, but it is quite common for people to send their children away when they're like 14 to go to high school because of a better school, in the city. So my parents did that with me. His parents did that with him. And interestingly enough, we've both spent about 8 years in the same city, going out in the same places, because as students, you tend to go, to the same types of clubs and everything and hang out in the same places. And we've never met. So after I graduated, a few months later, I came to the UK and he actually went to Mexico.
Okay, it's a little different, but yeah.
Yes. And so I was living in the UK for 6 years already. And he was for 5 years in Mexico. When one summer I went back home for my cousin's wedding. And he was home because in Mexico, you have like 9 months visa and then you have to have like a 3-month cool off period thing. And he was actually in a different relationship at that point in time. That's the reason why he actually moved to Mexico. And we've met that summer through some very weird coincidences where my Wi-Fi wasn't working at home and I called my IT friend to help me out. He couldn't, so I pestered him. I threatened him, as you do. And he called Robert, to come and help me with it. And he came and, we kind of talked, but then, he did say that, he's in a relationship and everything. And although I really, really liked him a lot, I respected that of him, that he was very honest from the beginning and very faithful to his then girlfriend. And he was actually about to ask her to marry him. He even had the ring bought and everything. But we still went out a few times, as friends and like chatting. And, we hit it off so well from the very beginning. It was strange, to be honest.
Wow.
So after those few weeks that I spent at home, I came back to the UK. And then he went back to Mexico as well. And through some very weird circumstances, his girlfriend got very, very scared of actually getting married. Although this was something that they kind of talked about, last minute, she's like, no, I kind of don't want to do this.
Oh, wow.
Like Runaway Bride.
So, yes, it's just that they didn't get to the wedding part. Luckily, it was slightly before that. So she basically broke it up with him. And then, he went back home to Romania after that. And we still kept in touch throughout all of this. And, he did mention, for us to start something because we hit it off so well from the very beginning. It was like we knew each other for ages, although we haven't, it was very strange. And I did mention to him then, I said, listen, you just got out of a very long relationship, just stay at home, party, take it out of your system, date, do whatever you want for a few months. Like, don't even tell me what you're doing. I don't even want to know. And then, once you get everything sorted in your mind and everything, then decide what is it that you want. Because at that point, I was like 27, 28. And I said, I don't have the time or the energy to, just start something, not knowing whether this is a serious relationship or not. I don't want to go into a relationship and then 6 months later just to realize that, oh, this is not going to work out. And I don't want to be your rebound person.
Right.
So he did think about it for a while, but then, he just decided he's like, no, I'm going to come to the UK and make this work. So yeah, that's how we started off.
Wow, that's amazing. And now here you are all these years later, happily married.
Yes.
That's amazing.
So how did the proposal go?
Well, the proposal happened actually 2 months into the relationship.
Wow.
And according to him, it would have happened earlier, but he was waiting for my birthday to happen so he can propose then. When he actually came to the UK, because my parents were, we planned for my parents to come and visit before that, like before, I knew about Robert wanting to come and all of that. I wanted to delay his coming till after my parents leave, mainly because I know my mom and she's crazy and she can scare him off, so I was like, I don't want to put him through all that pressure just yet. Like, first I want to see if there is something to this relationship and then throw him in the deep end, throw him in with the sharks, basically. And then I thought, you know what, if he can face my mom and not get scared, then he can face anything in this world, then he's fine. So I actually got him to come to the UK a week before and then found him rent in a different place and all of that. And then my parents came, and interestingly enough, I literally threw him in the very deep end because both me and my brother were at work all day and he was at home with my parents all day.
Oh my goodness. Yes, and he was still there by the time you got home from work that day?
I know. Well, to be honest, the first few days I was wondering and I was kind of scared. But then, by the third day I was like, okay, this is going well, so it's all fine. And actually, that week he already asked my mom what type of engagement rings would I like. And they were like already picking engagement rings with my mom.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, that's a wonderful, wonderful love story.
So now you have this wonderful card game. Where did the inspiration for that come from?
Well, it was a mix of elements, to be honest. It wasn't like an overnight thing where we just woke up and had this brilliant idea and we just started doing it. So, as I mentioned in the beginning, I started working at a local hospital in admin, and throughout the years, I've actually got to a management level. And when I actually first started working at the hospital, I thought that once I get to the management level, I'll be able to improve things the way I think they need to be improved, especially because I started from the lowest paid job all the way up to management level. I've seen all the issues that arise at each step and how, they could be fixed. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. I still haven't had any creative freedom at all. I still had to take my orders from my managers who had their managers and so on and just pass them on. And that was literally just soul draining for me. And I was looking at Robert, my husband, who he has few of his businesses. He's been running them from home for many years. And I've seen him every day waking up extremely passionate and excited for the day ahead and all the projects that he was working on. And even on days where he would have like 16-hour calls back to back, and he would barely have any voice left by the end of the day, he would still be super excited about everything that he did that day and the things that he was about to do the next day.
Wow. What is he drinking?
I know. I was like, how is that? I want to feel like that. I want to be like that, to have this drive and passion every day and can't wait to get up and don't have that Monday morning anxiety,
Right.
And we started brainstorming, like what could I even do? Because I didn't have any, let's say, visible passion towards anything specifically. Like I'm good at everything a bit. Like I'm not professional in anything, I would say,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was really good at my management job and I liked it, but I didn't see myself doing that forever, So we started brainstorming and everything. And in the meantime, we were also, because we both like board games quite a lot, and we have all the classic ones, like Scrabble, Monopoly, all of them, you name it, we have it. And when we were playing games, we just decided to get some so-called card games for couples, because we said, why not, work on our relationship and play games as well? Because when we entered our relationship, basically, we both had this very strong belief that we will make this relationship work very well. And we are willing to put in all the effort it takes, to make it great. So, we said we'll solve two in one, basically, get a card game, also play, also work on our relationship. And we've realized that all of these so-called card games weren't actually games. They were one-off questions printed on a piece of paper. And that was so disappointing to us, extremely disappointing, because we said, yes, but you see, many of these questions don't even make sense anymore, especially if you are with someone for a while. And even if they do, some of them, you just ask them once and then that's it. And then what? Where is the game element? You don't really play anything with it,
So were they kind of like questions like how to get to know you, like basic, like a conversation starters kind of questions?
Yes. But they were, again, one-off things. So you would kind of start a conversation once and that's it.
But with typical card games or board games, there's normally a winner or a loser, but it seems like that would be counterproductive if you have a card game for couples, because you would want the couple to both feel like a winner. So how did you bring in an element of it being more of a game than just, like Kris was saying, like conversation starters or just like random question with a short answer?
So first of all, we focused a lot on making our questions repeatable. So the better topics questions are repeatable. Hence, it makes the game repeatable, so you can play the game over and over again. Because although the questions are the same, because they are repeatable in a specific way, the answers will always change every week, because everything that, people and couples go through every week changes. So you can actually play this over and over again. And that's the first element to it. We've actually spent, I think, more than 6 months on working only on the questions, just to make sure we got them right and repeatable enough so they can actually be played again and again. We have also added some game elements to it, like cancel the question, reverse the question, which is my favorite. Whenever Robert thinks he got locked me in like with a very specific and deep question, I'm like, yeah, better you answer it, and we have all these elements, and also like other questions to it, like with whom, how did you react to that, so basically continuing the conversation instead of just accepting a yes or no type of answer.
Okay. So Diana, how does the game work? For those who are kind of like clueless, so this game, it's a deck of cards, right?
Yes.
Okay. So how does it work and what does it do?
So we have the physical card games, which is a deck of cards, as you mentioned, and we also have the app. They both work on the same principle, basically. So we want to help couples have those important, much needed conversations and still keep the fun in it, not just talk about our feelings. It's not about, laying down on a couch and, oh my God, this happened, that happened, and whatever. It's about bringing the focus back on the relationship and on the partners in it. So we have basically the card game, and we usually give out 5 or 7 or any uneven number cards out to each player, to each partner, basically. And then one of them has to start with the first question. And then if they have modifiers that make sense with the main question, then they can use it. And then, that's how the conversation starts, because the other person needs to answer. Or if they have the cancel question, then they don't have to. And then they just continue like that. And whoever gets rid of their cards first out of their hand, that's the winner of the game.
Well, how do you get rid of the cards? Do you have to, like, if you answer the question, do you throw the card out or what?
So we basically put them down, so we put them between us, facing the other person. So if I ask a question, that question will face Robert, for example, and he will read it out. He will think about it and then answer it. And then if I have a modifier card, I can either add to that, like with whom, how did you react, and anything like that. Or I can just accept his answer, and then we continue by him asking me. So we take in turns. So I ask one question, he asks one question, and so on. And then obviously we use the modifiers where they make sense.
With the questions that are on the cards, does it keep the conversation mostly positive, or are there like hard, deep topics to get into? Because I would think that would make it a little bit uncomfortable to play over and over again, and I might not be as willing to play the game.
So our questions actually vary from slightly deeper ones to deep ones to even a lot lighter ones. And what I suggested to other couples who found it a bit difficult to answer some of the questions, mainly because they weren't used to talking about their feelings in a way, I suggested to take those cards out, leave them aside, because they are over 120 cards. You can play with these even if you take out 10 questions and you still have enough cards to play with. And, until they get their partner used to playing the game and opening up. And then once they do that, they reach that stage, they can reintroduce questions back in, the most difficult ones.
That makes sense. So Kris wants to know, can we play your game today?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, fantastic.
Before we actually go into playing the game, I just wanted to mention one more thing.
Yeah, right. Go ahead.
Is that whoever wins the game gets to choose their reward out of the reward deck, which comes with the main deck.
What? What kind of rewards you got?
So actually, I just got out some of them. So one of them is you prepare dinner next Saturday.
What?
I love that.
Yes. Or you don't use your phone all day next Sunday.
Oh,
how possible is that?
That would be, I would choose that one and make Kris have to put his phone down, because I'm always saying, hey, dude, this is quality time. I'm right here. Put your phone down.
And I said we're having quality time.
And he's like, I'm posting something about you right now, so don't you want me to brag on you? And I'm like, I just want you to be present with me right now. And what other kinds of rewards are there? Another
one is we schedule and take a dance lesson together this year. So it's not very stressful, as in you have to do it now.
Ooh.
You can do it whenever it's suitable.
Is there any punishments in the deck?
We try to keep it quite positive, to be honest.
like
so
that.
not really.
Okay, I gotcha. Not like you have to do dishes or something like that.
There is one. You do dishes for a full week.
Well, look at that.
That could be a reward for me. I think that this would be really helpful. What I find, so yesterday was my birthday, and Kris and I went out on a date. And what I find is we get into a rut of the same 2 or 3 topics of conversation. And Kris, how many times do I say to you, honey, can we talk about a different topic other than the podcast?
Is there other topics?
So it's like we talk about work, business, kids, or podcasting. And I am always craving that deeper conversation, but I don't always know the right questions to ask so that it doesn't come across as like defensive. And so in all transparency, Kris and I are still technically newlyweds. We haven't quite been married for a year and a half. We're going on a year and a half in the next month or so. And sometimes it's hard to get into some of those topics because you're like, ooh, I don't want to like say the wrong thing and ruin the mood or make it go too deep. And I want to have these conversations because they're like so fulfilling, but I guess I don't know the questions to ask. So can you help us out today, Diana?
Yes, definitely.
Awesome. Okay. All right. So how do we get started with this game?
So I will ask the questions because you guys cannot really touch the cards,
Okay.
Well, I'm holding it right now in front of me. Thank you.
No, you're not, you goofball. Okay.
And then you guys will have to answer it. Now, normally in a normal game setting, it will be one partner answering it, not both. But this time, I think we can get both of you to answer it, especially because I have some very, very good questions for you.
Oh, okay.
All right.
So who gets to go first? Is it like a random draw or what?
Yeah, you guys choose until I find the best questions.
Okay, so you ask a question, and then do you just tell us which one of us you want to answer first?
No, you guys choose who you want, which one of you wants to go first, and then I'll just ask the question, and then we do it that way.
Are we going to do paper, rock, scissors, Kris?
No, I'll just
ready. Okay, Kris is going to go first. He's going to answer the question first.
I'm going to be the guinea pig. Let's do this. All right, I love playing games. By the way, should I add some sound effects, some a winner buzzer, or a?
Come on down. No, we're good. Okay, we're ready.
Okay, so I'm just actually looking for one of the questions. What is my favorite question? But that is a bit deeper question. So I think we'll use that a bit later once we've played a few of these and you guys got the hang of it.
Okay, sounds good.
So here's a question.
Yeah.
Did anything take you by surprise last week, good or bad?
Let me think about that one. Take me by surprise. I mean, everything takes you by surprise, to tell you the truth. When I wake up every day, I'm like, gosh, I'm still here. Surprise. So, I know. I had some good news at work that happened. That was a surprise. Yeah.
What was your good news, Kris?
Well, I mean, I don't have to mention it here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I got a little bonus at work. Well, the announcer giving us bonuses at work, which is a big shocker because you never know with this economy and stuff how it's going to go. So they fulfilled their promise of giving us a bonus. Well, actually, it wasn't a promise. It was more like something they've done year after year. You just never know each year if it's ever going to get a bonus. But this year they announced they're giving us bonuses, and here we are. So, ta-da!
Yay! That's awesome.
Good.
Now, do I answer the same question?
Yes.
Oh, did anything take me by surprise last week? Let me think. Let's see. So I was working up doing my consulting work, Kris, that you know of, up in Central California. And I went and I was working with each of my different teachers. And I was really surprised that when I went into the classrooms, every single one of them was trying out at least one of the strategies that I taught them. And it felt super fulfilling. And I was surprised because I've only been with them like 2 different times teaching them how to implement these strategies. But then the comments that they were telling me about how helpful it was. And I think the most surprising thing to me was when I walked into every single one of their classrooms, all of the students remembered me and they were like, Dr. Smith is back. And they were so excited to see me. And I was like, oh, it felt so good. And I was just surprised that I think my surprise was that I'd had such a positive impact on them.
That's so nice. I mean, what I come to realize, especially since working on better topics, is that we actually do impact people a lot more than we realize. Only that so many people are shy to come forward and let us know many times. But once they do, I think it's amazing.
Fantastic.
Now, Diana, when people are playing this game, when couples are playing this game, is it important that they like be present with each other and not distracted like on their phones?
Yes, definitely. I mean,
unless they're playing the game through the phone, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I wanted to say. So the idea of the game is to help couples spend that quality time together, focusing on each other as a couple and as the individuals in that relationship as well. Outside of all the work that they have to do, all their career plans they have, children, family, pets, you name it. Outside of that, we want to help couples create that small bubble just for them,
Fantastic.
Hence why is this game basically, because we also wanted to make it fun. From my training as a manager, I came to realize that whatever we learn through playing, whether we are kids or adults, I don't think it really makes a difference, because even as adults, we still learn more and better through play. I still remember all the playful trainings that I had as a manager,
right?
A lot more and in more detail than the ones where I just had to memorize things on a board, basically.
That makes a lot of sense. And I was just thinking about that. It can be hard for couples that might not be used to talking about their feelings and emotions to stay engaged in the game through multiple cards. And so do you build in breaks, or do we just like go straight through and just say after, 5 or 10 cards, we're going to take a break? Or is it finish your deck and let's declare a winner? What's the best approach?
So the game also is quite customizable to whatever people are comfortable with. Alongside the cards, we also offer 6 custom cards which people can actually use to either create their own repeatable questions or their own rewards if we haven't thought of those yet. Also, with the rules, it's quite flexible, to be honest. For example, when I play with my husband, we many times start with either 7 cards or maybe 9 cards sometimes. It really depends on our mood at that moment in time and how much physical time we actually have to spend together without being interrupted by anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
So depending on that, they can give out as many cards they want. If couples want to play the full deck of cards in one go, that will take several hours, to be honest.
I would think so. Hey, so Diana, you got another question for us?
Yes.
Okay.
One more is, have I affected you positively this past week?
So not you, but be Kristine, right?
So I'm asking you,
Yeah.
Kris, have I affected you positively this past
You
week?
always affect me positively, baby.
Aw.
Always. Every time I wake up in the morning and I make you coffee, I make it with love for you because I feel so positive that I give you coffee.
But can you think of something specific that I might have done that, yes or no, that I've affected you positively in the past week?
Trying to think. Help me. Give me a clue.
No.
Can you think? Is there a clue
It's
card?
okay- it's
Is there
okay if
a
there's
clue? We
not.
can ask for a clue.
No, it's okay
No.
if there's not. It's just a question.
With me, sometimes things come up in my brain like sporadically, and I think of like, oh yeah, but right now it's like closet is empty. I got cobwebs up in there, and nothing's happening. I don't know.
Well, it can be something overall as well. It doesn't have to necessarily be something specific. But
I can answer.
even as Kris mentioned, the excitement in the morning for even just making you coffee and having that morning ritual together, even that is something positive.
Yes.
It's my favorite time of day, by the way.
We just didn't have it very often this past week, but the times we did, we enjoyed. So I think for me, there's a couple of things that you did, but the most recent that I can think of is on Saturday when we were just like hanging out and I was just kind of being creative and doing stuff around the house. And then out of the blue, you were like, let's celebrate your birthday a night early. I'm going to take everybody out to dinner. And you picked my favorite place to go. And you remembered that it's like my favorite place to go for birthdays. And you were like, okay, let's get everybody together and let's go. And I was like, what? You remembered? That's my favorite place to go for birthday dinner. And you wanted to celebrate me for an extra day, the day before my birthday. And that made me feel really special.
Well, you're welcome, baby.
Aw,
That's very nice.
thank you.
That's super nice.
Okay, question number 3.
Did anything last week make you very sad?
Yes, I had to go to work.
Why did that make you very sad, Kris?
Did you hear the first part? That's all I got.
But you don't know why it made you very sad?
Because I had to leave you.
Aww.
That's what I always say. Because Kristine's here at the house, and I feel so upset when I have to leave the house and leave her here, and I hate leaving her. Like anytime, but especially when she's here all alone at the house doing her work stuff. And I'm like, I want to be here with her. But even when I am here with her and she is working, she's like, get out of here. Because I gotta get to work. You're bugging me.
That's the truth.
I completely understand. Since working on Better Topics, I actually left my corporate job and I started working full time on it. And even just having my husband in the house, although at a different floor, is still such a different feeling. Just knowing that, we are both here, and he also said many times that he's a lot more productive when I am around, even if, I'm working on my stuff and he's working on his. Only, him knowing that I'm quite close, even that makes him quite happy and even more productive than he usually is.
I feel the same exact way because when Kristine's doing her work and I'm doing some podcasting work, we're both here at the same house together. It's just two of us. Oh, we just nail it.
Yeah, that's when you are working. Otherwise, you come up to the landing and you're like, babe, I want to tell you something.
Oh, it's your flat. I go to your flat.
You come up and you're like, can I tell you something? Or I'm on a meeting and you just perch right there. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I really need to focus.
Well, until Kristine gets her office built, she's actually, her office little nook is the top of our stairs. There's a little space, kind of like
the landing,
little area. And that's where her little desk is at. And so I go up top of there and I'll perch over the railing from the stairwell. And he'd be like, hey, what's up?
I did that to my husband. So yeah.
You get it. Okay. So what was the question that I need to answer?
Did anything last week make you very sad?
Ooh, and did anything make me very sad? I would say that, last Sunday, we had all 3 kids here. And I love having all 3 kids here, but we decided to go out to the movies and I picked the movie. And I was really excited to take everybody there and I was treating everyone to it. And then one of the things that happened after is, here we walk out of the movies and I loved it. And the kids were like, I hated that movie. And
Who said they hated that movie?
Yeah, Ezekiel did. And then Jacob was like, yeah, it was dumb. We should have gone to see this other movie. And I felt bad because...
What movie did they want to see?
They wanted to see Dog, and we saw Uncharted.
Oh, that sounds boring.
Yeah, but it made me sad because here I thought it was a great and a funny movie.
I thought it was great. I loved it. Mason and I loved it too.
I know, but that's just what made me sad is that, here I wanted to spend quality time with all of the boys. And then afterwards they were like, I hated that movie. And I just was like, ugh.
I know.
It's like raising teenagers is so hard because they just hate you most of the time. And it's like there's that 1 5-minute glowing good time that they like you, and the rest of it you're their worst enemy and they just can't stand you. So that was hard. But
okay, noted not to have children then.
No, children are a blessing.
What is the thing I always say about kids?
Don't say that.
Oh.
No, you say mean things about having kids. We have 3 kids between the 2 of us, and I love them dearly.
Yeah.
It's just when they get to be funky little teenage, spiteful little teenagers.
Or terrible 2s, that's always fun.
Or terrible 12s right now.
Yes.
So. Yeah. Okay, we'll take one more question that we can answer.
Okay, so because you guys are parents, I've actually just opened the parenting deck because we have 5 different extension decks on different subjects. So we have for parenting, intimacy, which one, past stories, and for new couples.
Okay.
So one question which I think it's on most parents' mind, to be honest, is how can we encourage our children to use less technology next week?
How can we encourage children to use less technology?
Next week.
Next week. So not this week, but next week. Okay. So let me think here. I know we just take all their phones away and we put them in the closet. Put them in the phone box. Or actually, might give them a reward. Like, I know our kids too, they're into sports. Like, all three of them are super into athletic sports stuff. Like, Mason loves playing football. Jacob likes playing basketball. Ezekiel likes doing his kickboxing and boxing stuff. And sometimes we'll play football too and things like that. Although they are on their phones quite a bit, but they also do love to go outside and do play and get exercise, which is always a very good thing because it's always good to get them outside and healthy and do stuff. So I think maybe more of that and less of the phone stuff, maybe, you know.
Yeah, that
sounds great.
My idea would be to talk to our internet provider to see about shutting off the internet at certain times.
We can do that. I didn't tell you that, babe. There's a switch with our cable provider. I saw a commercial for it. And there was a way from any device to shut off the internet, like anytime.
Yeah, I was seriously thinking about that because I think it would be really helpful to have like downtimes internet-wise for all of us where, you know, hopefully it wouldn't affect anything. Because I was thinking like the only thing that I think that it would impact is our solar. If the solar wasn't like generating.
I don't know how that works.
Exactly. I don't think it would. But
the internet.
But to really switch off the internet. But then I was like, well, if the kids have phones, they'll just go off of like the cell signal. So maybe it's one of those times where at bedtime, we try it out for a couple of nights where everybody puts their phones in our room to charge and then we just like turn off the internet at a certain time. I don't know. I've been wrestling around with it just because I think that the boys have been spending so much time online right now.
But they've also been playing outside a lot. You notice how
True, that is true.
Jacob plays basketball, but he has a huge meltdown when he
can't get the shots in.
He gets so frustrated. He's only 12, and he's practicing and practicing to make little basket shots. He keeps missing them, and he keeps missing them, and he gets so frustrated, and he's like pounding the ground. He's like, I can't make the shot. I'm horrible. And then same thing with Mason too. When Mason can't catch or do something or kick the ball or whatever he's doing, he doesn't do it right.
And then he kicks something else or whatever.
Yeah, then he kicks the ball over the fence. And he gets upset.
So I think it's a balance. It's like, how do we keep them from not just being on technology so much, but having these like terrible mood swings? So I think we'll talk about that a little bit more.
I mean, it's quite difficult, to be honest, even for me as an adult, to be honest. I mean, we don't watch TV, to be honest. We have a TV in the house mainly because, you know, parents come and visit and they kind of need a TV, but we don't really watch it, maybe for the one-off movie. And we actually, my husband just talked to someone a week ago, and that guy was saying, now bear in mind that guy is very, very wealthy, and that guy was saying that he doesn't own a TV in the house at all.
Wow.
Really?
Which, yes, that really, really surprised me, because my husband said when they were talking he was literally behind him, there was a massive library, and both me and my husband, we love books, but we don't have that much time to read anymore. And, you know, he praised his bookcase and he's like, oh, yes, because we read in the house, we don't own a TV. And my husband was like baffled. He's like, what do you mean? He's like, well, this guy and his wife, you know, they read every night for like at least an hour instead of, you know, staying online or watching TV or anything like that. I mean, they still get their news and everything, but, you know, you just flick through them. You don't actually spend too much time immersing yourself in the news, in the bad feelings, in all of that. And they just read every night and then they share with each other and they talk to each other. And I was so impressed that we started doing that as well. And I said,
fantastic.
Okay, especially because I love movies. Like I could watch movies, you know, all day and night. But I do acknowledge that this is an issue.
Right. Well, we have TVs too in our house. I was just thinking about this. Like every single room in this house has a television. And only 4 of them, even we have one in the garage too, we've got TV. And we watch whatever we want on all these devices and stuff, which is, I guess, fantastic. But we don't use them. Personally, for me, we don't use them as much as You would think, considering how many, like some people are always talking about, oh, did you see this new show or this new series or this new whatever?
And we're like, no,
we don't have time for that. Like, because other podcasters that I run into in my circles, I say they watch like every new whatever Netflix show, whatever comes out, and I'm like, how do you guys have time for all that? You know?
Yeah.
But you're not a reader, Kris. You don't. Like
I read online,
right? But
articles and stuff like that.
But not like sit down with a book kind of reader.
You know, sometimes I do, but
I love reading, but I haven't taken enough time for it lately. This has been really good. I loved these questions because it gives us a chance to talk about things that we haven't really chatted about, and it just spurs on other conversation. I could see how this is something that could be really helpful for couples. So where do our guests get to go, or where do they need to go to find these card decks?
So for those who want to get the physical card game, they can go on our website, which is bettertopics.com, or on Amazon, UK, US, and Australia. And also on our website, they will find links for those who are not very keen on physical card games and would prefer to play an app, basically.
Now, the app is basically is very similar to the card game. It just flips through your phone like a bunch of cards or something.
Quite similar, yes. You still have the same questions and you still have the modifiers that you can use between each other. What the app has different is, so it has 3 different membership levels, silver, gold, and platinum. And once you start, even with the silver one, you get weekly secret challenges. So both partners get weekly secret challenges of things to do with each other or for each other. And then you basically get 3 challenges a week from which you have to choose one that you have to do. And once you've done it, you have to take a picture of it because, you know, as they say, pics or it didn't happen.
Yeah.
And because the app will also ask the partner to confirm if that challenge has been done for them or with them, depending on the case. And because, you know, we really want to help as many couples as we can, we've actually made the memberships super affordable. So the silver one is about $1.50 a month, all the way to the platinum, which is about $6.50 a month.
That's like nothing. That's like cheaper than Netflix.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much, Diana, for sharing about your amazing card game in support of couples. Excuse me. Do you have any last tips of advice for our couples to help them strengthen their relationship?
Well, there is this one belief that I've developed over the years, and that is, you know, everyone can have a great relationship as long as they are willing to put in the work. And luckily, you know, there are more and more tools out there that can help you with that. And even card games like Better Topics can also make it fun. So all that hard work that people have to put in for a great relationship, it doesn't have to be hard anymore or tedious. It can still be a lot of fun.
I love that.
Fantastic.
I love that so much. Well, Diana, thank you so much for being with us on the show, and we wish you and your husband all the best of luck with Better Topics.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. I had so much fun today.
Hey there, K2 crew. We love having you as our loyal listeners.
To keep up to date with what's happening behind the scenes, check us out on social media.
Yeah, you can find us on Instagram and Twitter.
And don't forget to follow our Facebook page.
Yeah, tag us in your favorite fun stories, and guess what? You might just end up on the show.
Ooh.
You know, that was fantastic having Diana on the show today, all the way from the UK.
I know. I loved having her on the show, but we promised our listeners that we would give them more details about the giveaway from Diana. So what's the first step in the giveaway?
Well, step number 1 is you go over to Instagram and follow the Better Topics Instagram page.
Okay, and then what do we do after that?
You'll see the logo image of today's podcast episode. This episode you listen to right now, you go ahead and like it.
Okay, over on the Better Topics Instagram page?
That is correct.
Okay, so after I like it, then what do I do?
You have to tag 3 friends.
Okay, so after I tag my 3 friends, then what happens?
Then you get a chance to win 1 full free year of a gold membership for Better Topics.
Oh, I love that. And so that means that I might get access to like the app and all of those really cool things?
Absolutely.
Or is it absolutely?
Absolutely.
That was pretty funny.
Go over to Instagram and look up the Better Topics and follow.
Yep, follow that Instagram account, and then you'll get entered into the drawing for the gold membership after you like the post with this podcast image and tag 3 friends. And I think that Diana said that this is going to be open for 1 week from the time that we launch this episode. And then she's going to randomly draw one person to win that gold membership for a year. Right, Kris?
Free gold membership for an entire year?
Now,
that's worth its weight in gold.
That's pretty funny. I wonder if we're exempted from it because we were the podcast host, because I would really like that. I think it would be great. I loved the questions that we had. And I think that it would actually be really great for us to purchase that card deck and keep it fresh, just keep having conversations. I think it would be really good for us so that we don't just get into that rut of talking about work and kids and bills and podcasting. We got to keep it fresh. We're still newlyweds.
I know. It's always good to have like fresh ideas of things to talk about, Like you said, it's always hard when you just talk about the same boring things, especially if you really are down on your luck and you don't like your job or whatever. You're like, oh, I don't like your job. But
because then that becomes the only conversation, right?
Right. And also the rewards are also important too, because talking about one thing is one thing, but then having a reward is always fun too.
You liked the do the dishes for a week that I would have to do, huh?
You know what?
Because you leave your dishes everywhere.
No, they're the house's dishes.
No, they
belong to the house.
They definitely are just yours. I know that for sure. But where can our listeners find out more about us?
Well, you head over to the old interweb on the website, KrisandKristineShow.com. And guess what? It doesn't really matter how you spell it.
They'll find us, right?
They should. Yeah. I mean,
don't spell it like ZYXWP.
Right. Don't just type in random picture, keyboard keys like a monkey on a keyboard. But it's KrisandKristineShow.com. And don't you worry, on the show notes, we always put the link to that in the show every episode. So it's right there.
Absolutely. And if people missed the steps on how to get through that giveaway, are you going to include that in the show notes too?
I might as well. That's true. I will definitely do that. Yeah, for
absolutely.
Sure.
So definitely go and check us out. Check out our website. You can listen to past episodes on our website through the podcast player, and definitely check out the show notes for more details about today's fabulous guest. And we will be back with you
next week, baby doll.